This video is brought to you by SoccerPro.com. Be sure to visit SoccerPro.com for all the latest soccer gear at everyday low prices with no membership fees. Don't forget to use coupon code SR4U at checkout for $10 off a $75 purchase, plus free shipping within the US. Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you an unboxing plus on-feet video of the brand new Nike FC247 Elastico Finale 2 Indoors. So I'll get these shoes out of the box, and if you guys could take a second to leave a like on the video, it would be greatly appreciated. So here is a look at the Elastico Finale 2, and it is definitely one of the most unique soccer shoes that I've ever seen. I can't really compare it at this point to the previous Elastico Finale, just because pretty much everything on the boot has changed in a major way. One of the most interesting talking points of this shoe is, of course, the Nike Skin upper, which I'm going to take a little more detailed look at later in the video. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to remove the laces and show you guys the inside and kind of talk about how it's constructed. But basically what the concept behind Nike Skin is it's designed to be very thin, very soft, fit very tightly, but at the same time be very comfortable. And that is exactly what it does. You can see how thin and pliable this is from right out of the box. It is definitely thinner than Teijin synthetic, for those of you guys that are wondering. And basically how it's constructed is there's kind of a mesh layer on the inside, which I'll talk about, like I said, a little bit later, show you guys the inside because you can really see it better. And but it's not like a mesh upper like you would think, because normally mesh uppers are on the lower end side of things, generally tend to be a little bit cheap, but this one is very different. And then there's basically a PU or polyurethane kind of coating over top. Now there's single layer and dual layer all the way through. You can see where it's darker around the edges here, especially at the toe. That is a dual layer of polyurethane. And then the lighter areas where you can actually see kind of some holes or see-through areas in the shoe, that's where you're going to have a single layer. And it doesn't appear to be one solid layer of polyurethane. It appears to be kind of like a polyurethane membrane that's going to allow light and air to pass through. So it should be very, very breathable and at the same time very thin and comfortable just to wear. So very curious to see how this touch. It does have a little bit of a texture to it. As you can see, it's not perfectly smooth, kind of dimpled if you will, similar to the speed control technology from Nike used on the Mercurials, but still at the same time a little bit different. And now for those of you guys that know about Nike shoes in general, the Vapor 1 and the Vapor 2 use what was called Nike Skin as a synthetic upper. Now this is completely unrelated as far as the synthetic itself goes. It's all new on this shoe in comparison to the Vapor 1 and the Vapor 2. It just has the same Nike Skin name, so just keep that in mind. As far as the colorway of the shoe goes, it is Neo Lime, Fresh Mint, and Pink Flash. Very, very vibrant in person. As you can see, you have pretty much no logos here on the instep other than the one black swoosh at the toe. On the outside, you can see you have a flat Pink Flash Nike swoosh with like a metallic silver outline there, and it's got that black cheetah print on the inside, along with the pink laces that have the cheetah print as well, which is kind of a cool little feature. You do have that one Nike swoosh there in pink as well on the back, and that's pretty much it as far as branding on the shoe. On the bottom, you can see you do have a combination of pink, Neo Lime, and Fresh Mint, which again looks really, really good. So you do have a central lacing system. It's slightly pushed to the inside, similar to the CTR 360, but for the most part, it still is fairly central in my opinion. It goes fairly deep as well, so you're going to be able to get a really tight fit there. And you can see you have that dual layer of polyurethane going around all the high wear areas on the shoe. So while it is very, very soft and flexible, you're not going to have to worry about the shoe being too flimsy when you are making quick changes of direction. You do have a little bit more mesh here around the back heel area, just to allow for a little bit more comfort. Mesh liner on the inside, and the shoe is incredibly light, which you'll see later in the kind of weigh-in portion of the video. It is 25% lighter than the last Elastico Finale. I believe the listed weight is 6.8 ounces, and like I said, it's just super light. Definitely the lightest indoor I've ever held, and there's pretty much no kind of construction. There's almost no plastic used in the construction of the boot. The only plastic you're going to find is basically in a heel counter right here that goes here and then wraps all the way along the bottom. You're going to find some EVA foam through the heel and through the midfoot, but through the forefoot area, there is no EVA foam whatsoever. It's completely flexible. There's nothing on the inside. So if you're not a big fan of having low profile indoor soccer shoes, you probably should stay away from this particular model. But if you want to be as close to the ground as possible and feel really, really nimble and quick, you're going to get that from the Elastico Finale 2. So as far as the traction pattern goes, you have a combination of kind of like this dimpled texture area that they say allows you to kind of grip the ball better, which is kind of necessary for indoor soccer and futsal. And then of course you do have herringbone for more of a traction feel in the areas that you need it. So it does have kind of like a clear herringbone pattern there. It's a very soft, pliable rubber, so should provide some pretty good traction there. And then of course you do have a solid rubber with this kind of dimpled pattern on there. A little bit unique, similar to what we saw on the Elastico Finale 1, but at the same time very, very different. This little piece you have here is just EVA foam. It's not going to provide any traction at all. It does have that herringbone pattern through there, but for the most part, that part's not going to be touching the ground at all. And you can see it is split kind of right through the middle, and that's just to allow for kind of a more flexibility through the forefoot area, have a more natural movement when you are making changes of direction on indoor court surfaces. And that's pretty much it as far as the shoe itself goes. I'll give you a quick look at the insole here. The insole has a mesh liner. It's in that Neo Lime black Nike swoosh there, and it's made out of a foam material that I wouldn't say is a standard EVA foam. It's very, very lightweight. Reminds me very much of what we saw on the Nike GS as far as the insole on there, and that it does provide some nice cushioning. It's very, very dense, but at the same time it weighs almost nothing. So very nice insole. I'm curious to see how that performs as well. So that's pretty much it as far as the unboxing portion of this video goes, and I'll kind of remove the laces here and we'll take a closer look at the upper. The standout feature on the Elastico Finale 2 is easily the Nike Skin upper. It is totally unique, unlike anything we've ever seen used on a soccer shoe, and I just want to give you guys a closer look at how it actually is constructed. So you can see I've removed the laces here, and like I said, the synthetic upper is incredibly soft and flexible and very, very thin. So if you look at the tongue here, it doesn't actually have the polyurethane membrane over top. They left it kind of clear, just so it allows for a little bit more breathability, and you can see very clearly how the kind of base of this Nike Skin is constructed. So there's basically like a very thin layer of mesh, has a little bit of sponginess to it, that is made from this hexagon / honeycomb pattern going all the way through. And that on the tongue, like I said, is left kind of clear, whereas if you look on the inside, you can still see that same honeycomb pattern, but instead over top on the outside, they do have that polyurethane kind of coating. It has almost like a waxy finish to it, and that's what it looks like in person, but it's not too grippy at all. It kind of has like a matte finish at the same time. And like I said, they have the dual layer of polyurethane and kind of all the high wear zones on the shoe itself, just to allow for a little bit more structural integrity. You're going to see the same dual layer going around the lace holes as well, just so you can ensure that the upper is not going to rip on you. So like I said, it's very, very thin and flexible, but at the same time, it doesn't feel flimsy. It still feels structurally stable and should perform really, really well. Very curious to give this a try. So that's pretty much it as far as the upper goes, and we'll move on to a quick weigh-in so you can see how lightweight these guys are. It's not often that you see a lightweight indoor soccer shoe, with most indoor soccer shoes weighing in somewhere around 10 to 11 ounces, just because there is a little bit more material that goes into making one. But with the Elastico Finale 2, they actually have a listed weight of 6.8 ounces, and both in hand and on feet, the shoe feels incredibly lightweight. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. Again, the listed weight is 6.8 ounces. I'm going to throw it on the scale, and you can see that it weighs in at 6.9 ounces, so pretty much dead on. 0.1 ounces is nothing to fuss about at all. And like I said, one of the lightest, if not the lightest, indoor soccer shoe currently out there on the market. Just keep in mind it is very, very low profile. So that's pretty much it as far as the weigh-in portion goes, and I move on to a quick on feet so you can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and what the sizing is like. Alright, here's a look at the Elastico Finale 2's on feet. And from right out of the box, the shoe is actually very, very comfortable. There's pretty much no break-in time required here, mainly because the Nike Skin Synthetic is super soft, super thin, and just really flexible. Truly does feel like a sock on your foot, and reminds me very much of the Flyknit uppers Nike uses on some of their running shoes, but of course a little bit different. It does have that tighter fit because of how soft and flexible the synthetic actually is. It doesn't feel like it's restricting your foot in any way, and remains very, very comfortable. That polyurethane membrane on the outside also allows for air to pass through just a little bit, so there is a kind of a breathability about this upper as well, which is kind of unusual for a soccer shoe of any kind. As far as the fit and sizing goes, it's definitely a very low profile soccer shoe, so if you do want something that has a little bit more padding, you should probably stay away from the Elastico Finale. There's pretty much only a little bit of EVA foam through the heel and midfoot, whereas the forefoot features no cushioning whatsoever, other than what you're going to get from the little bit of foam on the insole. So if you like that lightweight, flexible feel, you're going to get that from the Elastico Finale. Just keep in mind there isn't much in the way of cushioning. The sizing and fit of the shoe is relatively average. It does fit true to size, unlike the last versions of the Elastico Finale, which I felt fit a half size small. I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size. And as far as the width of the shoe goes, it's not an overly narrow fitting shoe at all. It does have a tighter fit, but this Nike Skin Synthetic is pretty kind of loose as far as how it can expand and form around any kind of foot shape, which is definitely a good thing. So if you do have slightly wider feet, you shouldn't have any issues fitting into the shoe. Just keep in mind that the toe box and forefoot area is fairly low profile. So if you are a little bit wider in the toes and forefoot, you might want to stay away from this shoe as well. So that's pretty much it as far as the on-feet portion of this video goes, and I'll move on to my final thoughts. Alright guys, that's it for my unboxing plus on-feet video of the Elastico Finale 2. Really happy with the shoes so far and just extremely curious to see how they're actually going to perform. So I should have my full written performance review up hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try and get it out quicker than I normally do because I know a lot of you guys are probably curious as to how these guys perform. So if you do want to check that out, there will be a link in the description to the review page on my website, soccerreviewsforyou.com, that you can anticipate seeing the review on, and hopefully, like I said, the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, if you do want to check out that review page, you're going to find the high quality images of this shoe here. That'll give you a better idea as to how it actually does look in person, as well as buy it now links with the best prices online, including some exclusive SR4U coupon codes to get you some additional discounts if you are interested in ordering a pair for yourself. Let me know what you guys think of this shoe, and if you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you guys could leave a like on the video as well, it would be greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button for daily videos on all the latest soccer gear. And if you guys want to follow me on any of the latest social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, you can find links to all of those down below in the description. Other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, thanks for watching.